Okay. Hello, everybody. SIG 2 Automation Nefio for SIG 2 Automation meeting for Nefio Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. We're getting towards the end. So, hi, everybody. uh, I am your new chair elected by you. Thank you so much. I was vice chair a year ago, and funny or not, just yesterday I celebrated 1 year at Google. So it's been exactly a year. Um, Wen will join in a bit, but we can start going through the agenda. And I'll say I'm a new SIG chair. I've in the past release cycle until now for R2, I've been spread out between SIG 1, SIG 2, and SIG 3 quite a bit, and haven't been 100% involved as the chairs were in SIG 2. So I'm going to defer a lot of this to Wim, who has been far more involved in the release process. So I'm really here just to facilitate the meetings and make sure that everything goes okay and kind of focus on my contribution. So let's start with the R2 checklist. Actually, let me make sure I'll open it too. All right, thank you for your patience as I'm getting back on board with this. Oops. Okay, my Windows system is not working as great as I thought. All right, here we go. Okay, now this is the discussions. Do we have a link to the board at the top? Yeah, here we go.
Sorry, Tal. I don't know if it's just sorry,
Yeah.
Tal. I don't know if it's just my screen, but I'm just seeing your top left of your share.
Really? Okay.
Actually, I'm seeing the project board.
Do you see the project board?
You're seeing the full board. I'm just seeing top left.
I am seeing about like 18 rows,
okay.
But not clear.
Yeah.
It's my view. Sorry, my window. Sorry. Oh.
Okay, I can stop sharing and try again, or maybe I won't rock the boat. Okay. Bala, are you here? Bala is not here. Okay. So rather than going through everything, wait, there's the consolidated sprint. There we go. Any specific issue that people want to raise? I know there's one PR I'll talk about in a bit, but anything else? Okay.
Yeah, tell I want to add.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, can you please go to the board?
Yes.
Yeah, here's 401 and 402. In to-do list, they should be in progress. From to-do to in progress.
Oh, and to do. Okay,
Yeah. 401 and 402.
Hey, Tal, sorry, I joined late.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just looking at the board. So this is in progress. Why can I not? Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, I have to use another browser for this. I'm not logged into. Okay, give me a second. Okay, this will take me too long. I wonder, Bala, can you help me with this and open the board on your end?
Okay, let's see. Yeah, give me a second.
Thank you for your patience, everybody, as I'm
yeah. Sorry, Tal. I should have done it. I'm sorry for joining the meeting.
No worries. Wim is a little late too.
Yeah.
Doing a great job so far, Tal.
Yeah, clumsily getting back into the fold. There was, so while you're looking at this, what was the PR for the helm to operator generator? Does somebody remember what was the title of it? I don't know why I can't find it right now. I was looking at it a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I think that was against the STK repo, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think let me share my screen now.
There is an issue open for it too, right? That's what I didn't know, if there was an issue.
Yeah, let me. Yeah, I'm trying to share.
Oh, okay. Let you share that.
Okay, can you?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, cool.
Oh, Joseph, your hand is up.
Yeah, I think Ronak, you were discussing something with Ronak, right? Maybe after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, well, I was just telling that 401 and 402, actually, they should be in progress from to do.
yeah. So
So
Tal,
it's-
one of the yeah, go ahead, Tal. Finish your thoughts.
Oh yeah, so those two items just mentioned, and they're in the to-do column, and we just want to move them to in progress.
Okay, they are in 401. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
401.
401 and 402.
Yeah, you're not signed in. I have the same issue. That's why you can't track.
Okay, let me see. I don't know when did send.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
having the same issue. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Let's maybe move on in the meanwhile.
yeah, I think I'm done. I think I should be able to.
So the next is a big topic, to talk about our frustrations with the process. We've started a little bit to talk about it, but we didn't really dive in depth.
Yeah.
Maybe before we dive into that, let's finish the two other things first that I think are more easy to decide, and then we can have an open-ended discussion. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, okay. So I want to also tell. I want to also ask one of the main thing in this today's meeting, Tal, that we need to tell whether we can meet the December 15th date or not. Otherwise, we need to go back to TSA. That's one thing we need to decide in this meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
So in terms of all the changes to the CRD and the changes to the both Free 5GC and OAI RAN and core operators, are we in a position of code freeze? Or will we be in a position of code freeze by the end of this week, and then we can take next 2 weeks to do the documentation and testing? I also would like to hear from Victor about test infra fees on the call. Obviously, when I'm presenting, I cannot see who's here. So I think those are some of the things that we need to discuss, Tal. I think we need to come to some conclusion end of this meeting, whether we need to go back to TSC with a message that we need extension or not.
Okay, yeah, let me add that to the agenda, as I think that's probably more important than everything else.
Yeah.
I don't see Victor on the call.
Okay, thanks, Vish. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the most critical. So let's really start with that. Well, what we can do is look what we have in progress right now and think if any of them are blocking, and then maybe look at the to-do column and see if there's something that's a must-have that we have to move into in progress. How does that sound?
Yes.
Okay.
So to start with, can I ask Sagar or Joseph? Can you please give us? I mean, Sagar and Joseph, and obviously Ronak, they were doing one of the heavy lifters for this particular release in terms of the changes that were uh, uh, identified. So Sagar or Joseph, can you give us the lay of the land where we are in terms of those changes?
Yeah. In terms of the operator and CRDs and all that, I think we did a test today evening. I think we integrated the RAN and core. We have deployed using the Nefio, but it's based on the R1 infrastructure. basically the edge regional and the edge 1 and edge 2 infrastructure which we had in R1. On top of that, I've deployed or added new networks for the RAN component. So there were some issues related to that. We raised it with Wim. He's working on it, but I think we found a way. I mean, to use certain network names which will work. So for now, we use those things, and we are able to connect the RAN and the core, and also attach the so that we are at that stage right now. And I think once we have the infrastructure, then we can try to deploy the same on the new infrastructure and test it. That's the update. So for the infrastructure, I had a request if it is possible to get a VM where we can work together, like me, Sagar, and Victor together in common VM where we can access. Is that possible? Because the VMs in our office cannot be accessed by others. That's something that I wanted to check.
I don't know if from Google we have infrastructure we can easily give. Stephen, do you know if there's something?
From us, no, because when we create stuff is under google.com domain.
Yeah.
That's very private. The Nefio one. So I remember during I think Victor asked me that question too. I haven't checked. I'll check later. So I'm supposedly one of the admins, but then I remember back then when Arwen asked for an account, I wasn't able to set up for him. So John ended up doing it anyway. So I'm not quite sure what my permission level really is. But again, I'll check. I'll check and see whether or not that would be possible.
So to be honest, I might be able to do something privately. I have a very powerful setup home lab, and I can provide access externally. It's very informal, but I would put that as like a last resort. Maybe let's try to do something formal first, but it's absolutely possible for me just to create ad hoc users for people and let them do whatever they want on it. But maybe, yeah, let's maybe think of something more cloud-based.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in our test infra, right? I think that's what you're both alluding to. Tal and
Infra, I see. Yeah.
test infra. I think. Do you think we can create a VM in that environment, Stephen, and then use it for purposes of what Joseph was talking about?
Yeah, I think that should be possible. Yeah, let me check. I'm actually surprised some of you guys are not able to, because during the ONE Summit, I thought we were using the same account and able to create VM.
Yeah, the thing is, like with the one summit, what we do is we create like a pool of VMs for the attendees. So in this case, yeah, I get Bish, Brado, I, and John has access to the project, but I usually the way that we request access was through John. He was able to give us.
I see.
So John is on vacation.
Yeah.
But let's try to do this offline. Let's talk on Slack, and we'll see if Stephen and I will try to figure it out. Okay, Stephen?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. But you know what? This discussion is leading me to think that December 15th seems very, very close, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, obviously the last 2 weeks, many of us are out.
Yeah, exactly. I have a feeling we don't have to continue going. I think we need to ask for extension. It's just, it seems very, very tight, especially with just all the issues of vacation in December.
So if your checklist is actually updated to reflect that'll make a better case, to say where we are not ready.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
checklist. Yeah, I mean, we are not even there, Bish. Actually, we are not feature complete.
I mean, in the sense, what I'm trying to say is at any point of time, you have a map, you have a plan, and you have a map of where we are, right? So if somebody looks at the checklist, they'll get an idea of, okay, you need 2 weeks, or you need 4 weeks, or you need 6 weeks. So that's what I'm saying. It's like a dashboard to reflect where we are and say, because the next set of questions will be, when will you be ready?
So
Yes,
something
obviously, so
more than
that was the thing I was gonna ask here. So Tal, if I may ask, Sagar and Joseph and Ronak. Ronak, I think, I don't know, I joined a bit late. I don't know if he's on the call or not.
Yeah, I am here only.
Hey, Ronak, sorry. Yeah, so so how much do you think, like, do we need?
Actually, the free 5GC code is done, and we have raised a PR which needs to be reviewed by Vim. Actually, there is one issue in for SMF. In API code for object reference, we have defined only API version, kind, and name. But in SMF code, there is namespace too. So it is causes conflict to test the SMF. Otherwise, EMF and UPF is working fine, as we done our functional testing for those both, and even reconciler for both also are working fine. So we need to discuss this with Vim, but he is running quite busy nowadays, so we can't catch him.
So you're able to resolve the issue with the IP address binding problem.
Yeah, actually it was a environment setup issue.
It's a setup.
So
Yeah, you told me that maybe a setup problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I tried those on GCP, which was working fine.
What was the last SMF problem?
Yeah, that we need to discuss with him, but he is running quite busy nowadays.
That's a specializer. You mean there's a specializer side problem? It's more like a control. I see. Okay.
Yeah, because we need to check from API code as well, because it is object reference are defined in API only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason I don't think we need to move on is because I mean, this is one of the biggest landings for R2, right? The OAI packages. So that is not something that can be delayed after. So yeah, we can't release without. So any blocker for that, I think, would cause would force us to ask for an extension.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So Tal, we could do two things here. If you want, we can go issue by issue on the board, and then see where we are and how much time it takes, or we can do the main things such as what we like, the free 5GC, like Ronak said, we cannot talk about free 5GC, sorry, the OAI RAN and core. We can get the time estimates, and then obviously from Victor about the test infra, and then we could do that way. Which way you want to do, Tal?
I don't think we need to waste time on every single item, because if this doesn't, we already have a reason for an extension. That's my point.
Yeah, my question is how much, to determine how much you need to ask. Yeah, how much? So should we just that's why I was saying we could go issue by issue, or we can just talk to the leads and see whether how much time or how much help they are looking for.
Yeah,
we do that way as well.
That's a good point. I'll put, the general issue that if we ask for an extension, basically the last 2 weeks of December, I kind of just disappeared from the calendar. So
yeah,
we can treat them as almost non-existent. Not a lot of work will be done then. So if we extend, we have to think from January, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we can also ask for more extensions. We can do it piecemeal, but I think the TSC might get annoyed because we want to start planning for the public release. So yeah, I think we should try to figure it out right now. You're right. So let's continue going.
Yeah, I think
Sagar, do you have your hand up? Do you want to add something?
Yeah, so I just wanted to summarize things, since now you have the board in front of you. So from the OAI side, as Joseph said today, we tested everything end to end with the packages which he created, the packages I created, which reside in the GitHub of OAI. His packages reside in the catalog of Nephio. And he deployed both of them in his environment. It worked on the R1 setup. It's going to work also on the R2 setup, based that the connectivity is fine, because in the R2 setup, we have new images of the Nephio controller, we have new images for the Porsche. So from the Nephio core side, we have new components. So we have to see the stability of the whole deployment there. That's the only thing now which we have to test. So the packages side, let's say the bigger chunk of the OAI interconnectivity and everything, that's already sorted. So the packages are fine from the core and RAN. They also communicate with each other, so that is fine. It's only, I think, now the work which Victor is doing on the test infra. And once we are able to do on his test infra end to end, I think we'll be good to go from the bigger side. Then, of course, the free 5GC part and the other PRs which are ongoing, we can see on that. For example, like even in my deployment, which I was doing for the core side, this week we made a lot of changes with Vim on the Bootstrap secret controller. I tried to accommodate that, but then I had some issues again at this scapper which I was using to interconnect the two different clusters in the same namespace. Since I faced issues, so I found a workaround, and I'm not using it for, let's say, for R2, and I'm going to use that in R3. So those things are pretty much sorted. So, and also for the documentation side, I mean, I have something already written for bringing up everything from the OAI side, and then also Joseph has something written because Joseph's it's just an add-on what I already did. So I think from the documentation side also we have that .md kind of a file which we made for Free5GC. And since we are not using any web GUI, let's say in deploying any of the network functions, so we don't need any screenshots of the web GUI or anything. I mean, I also have the outputs which we will get. So I think that is also a bit sorted, but if we need more documentation explaining things which we have changed in R2, then that's a different story. But basic documentation.
Not having Scupper, would that prevent your UPF from talking to NRF?
What I'm doing, yeah, I know, but what I'm doing is I don't know if you like it. So I just fixed the IP address of Metal LB, as we fixed the IP address of the web GUI. So we used a hard-coded IP address in the subnet. I took the second last IP address of the subnet, let's say for the edge cluster, and I fixed that also of the core cluster, let's say in NRF. And I already tell UPF that this is the IP address of the NRF and use this, and it is fine.
Okay.
So it will be fine. Let's say when Alexis will do the testing in his OpenShift environment, he has Scapper exchange secret policy and everything using the policy of the Open Cluster Management. So in OpenShift, I created another branch for OpenShift so that he can just use with Scapper on OpenShift and with the adaptations in the operator for OpenShift. So that is also done. So he can also work in parallel once we have the test infra ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this honestly sounds like a lot of moving parts. I think they're progressing well, but all of these things take time, and the coordination, right? Between the effort of everybody involved.
Yeah, I think first of all, I really want to appreciate Ronak, Joseph, and Sagar. I know it's a lot of things changed from where the release started, and to accommodate all the changes, API changes, interfaces, etc. I really appreciate that. Sagar, one thing I wanted to understand, slightly better understand, when you say in the R1 environment, it worked. Can you please help me understand the meaning of worked here? Does it mean that you were able to ping between AMF and SMF, or you were able to make a call? Can you help us understand the sense?
Yes, so we were able to make a call, let's say. So the final step in Free5GC deployment was to deploy the core and then deploy the UERAN SIM, right? And do the ping.
Yeah.
So that's the whole procedure of 5G. So we did the whole 5G procedure. And again, so what Joseph did, that he tried to ping from the UV to the UPF, because as you remember, the networking which we are setting up, we cannot use the internet. If the networking we set up and we are able to use internet, then we can ping the internet too. So that is the last part which we have to check for connectivity. So that works.
So
It's
basically,
the R1 environment means that you're using all the UPF deployment, AMF deployments, and things. You're using not the unified NF deployment.
No, I said only the R1 infrastructure, let's say, to be
I see.
clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only, this whole the topology of regional 2H clusters, but there we use the new NF config and the new NF deployment package. So there also there was this question, like, which I think Joseph mentioned, that, for example, in my operators, I am deploying the CRDs, and because in Free5GC, the operator was deploying the CRDs. So probably this time we can have another package which will only deploy the CRDs, which will be better. So yeah.
So Sagar, so basically we were able to deploy the OAI core and OAI RAN,
Yes.
and we were able to effective. Wow, that's an awesome progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the core package comes from GitHub of OAI. The RAN
Yeah.
package comes from GitHub of Nefio. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is there
Yeah,
a separate issue for the OpenShift stuff that Alexei is working on?
I'm not sure whether there is here. Probably I'll create one. I think it was not originally part of the release. The OpenShift changes that he did for the existing cluster creation, the PR is already open there. On this particular thing, I'm not really sure whether that will. Okay, let me talk to Alexis whether he wants to make it a part of this.
Hey guys, I'm on the call, right? So
Okay,
if
cool.
you want to track it officially, we can do it. Right now, it was more something that I was discussing with Sagar, and we didn't know in which state we would be ending in Nefio for R2. The high priority is not about OpenShift; it's about making it work with whatever Nefio has to provide for R2. So that's why we didn't make it official.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But it
Alexis.
can be a ticket that we track as well. That's up to you folks to decide. I don't mind.
Well, we can track it, but it doesn't mean we have to decide it's an R2 or not. But it should be a good idea at least to track it, right?
Yes, we can track it. Obviously, I think that will not be a blocker for R2.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank
cool.
you.
Thanks, Alexis. Sorry, I'm not able to see since I'm presenting who is raising the hands or who is the participant.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm keeping track of it. And actually, I wanted to suggest that from now on, whoever is, so the chair, I think, should not be sharing the screen. That's my point, that somebody else in the group would volunteer to share the screen so the chair can make sure that they're seeing, all the conversations, right?
Okay.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Simple solution, right?
Yeah.
I was starting to drag windows here across desktops. It got a little crazy. So thank you for this.
And Tal, just to continue there, I wanted to just conclude that. So looks like we have made a lot of good progress. But I mean, there are a few things that needs to be done from the Free5GC perspective, and then we need to make sure this particular setup for OAI needs to work on the new infra that we are going to create for OAI. Victor, where are we on the infra side?
Yeah, from the infra perspective, I have created edge clusters. Well, I have the PR who creates the workload clusters, and that PR interconnects those clusters and set up the network. So that's pretty much the progress that I have. So for now, this is the current PR. Because the next thing is like starting adopting all the Sagar changes, like to put the workloads on those workload clusters.
Okay.
Okay. Let's scroll quickly through in progress and see if there's anything else big that's
okay. I'll do that.
That's there.
Obviously, Stephen, we have the topology. I think you said that may be ready, but that may not be. We may not be using that for the integration testing. That's what I think.
I think definitely we will not be using that for integration testing.
Yes. Yeah.
Stephen, do you think we'd be able to mark it as an experimental feature for R2?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that would be good just to show to show the world that there's some progress, but we're not saying that it's quite usable yet, right? It's not been tested. Yeah, that's great.
Track topology, that's what we just discussed. One-to-one relationship, this is mostly documentation.
Regarding the SDK, maybe, so I'm not seeing the issue here, but there's the Sandeep's contribution of the Helm to operator translator. And
I think it's contributed in an epic. I can show you.
oh,
Let's see.
so it's not.
Let's see. Where is this? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I
Okay,
couldn't
all
find
this. I think I need to. I don't know whether Rado, are you on the call? Okay.
Maybe he submitted it as a PR without an open issue.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Yeah. I
what
think.
happened.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think this is where I try
Yeah, I
to.
don't think there's an issue. It's a PR.
Okay.
So so I'll mention
can-
that
yeah.
I discussed with him and you know, I understand that there is agreement in the operator SDK task force that this will be included in R2, and the PR has been languishing. So I will review that PR. To make sure
I wasn't sure if it is going to be part of R2, but we were definitely accepting to the repo. I'm not sure whether it was officially part of R2 because it was always a POC. Yeah. I think his main concern was to accept it to the main repo. I think which we agreed upon. Obviously, it's coming to the main Nefio repo. But in terms of, I don't. It's my understanding is concerned. I think it was not part of official.
Well, here's the
Yeah.
thing: if it's inside the
A
repo,
blocker. Let me put it
it
this
is
way.
our distribution, right? So you know, obviously it's an experimental feature. You know, we're not saying that's there, but it will be included in the R2 distribution. Just the fact that it's in the repo and tagged, right? So that's the point, that the PR is accepted before release. So yeah, so I agree to review that PR. But yeah, we don't have an issue for it. Okay.
Okay. So I thought there was an epic. I know there was an epic I created. I'm not able to find it. So I'll make sure maybe some label is missing or something. That's why it's
How
not.
about,
Maybe it's in the
Nefio 415, Bala? I'm seeing it as Nefio 415 on your left screen to-do list. Is that the one you're searching?
Oh yeah, yeah. You're right.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Good days, Varda.
Yeah, so we should move it just. Okay, terrific. So that's not a blocker, but I will look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So honestly, it looks like the big ticket items really are OAI and infra testing, right?
But testing, honestly, we are further along. We got some great updates from Sagar and Joseph Lonek today. I still feel meeting the 15th date would be a bit risky at this point of time.
Oh, I would say it's impossible. And also because we don't want anybody here to be in a crunch before the holiday. It's I'll even say that internally in Google, we have we don't release on December, you know, for these reasons, because, you know, there's a release and people go on holiday and then they have to, there's always little things that you need to fix. And we want people to go to holiday and not have to worry, right? So
yeah, I mean, 15th is next Friday. Even if we start doing integration testing and documentations right now, I don't think we make 15 anyway.
Zero chance. So I think without a doubt, we're asking for an extension. The question is to when. So my first thought that it could be the 2 more weeks in January. So something like January 15th, which would be a month, I know, but we're taking into account that, you know, it is December, so a lot of time is lost.
So, Tal, I was thinking we are asking the dates. So instead of just asking I know last 2 weeks of December, obviously we are not considering. So that's understandable in the sense that last 2 weeks of December we are not considering as a period of work for us, for many of us. My only concern with the January 15th is many people may not be even available first week of January. So I was thinking end of January. If at all we are asking the dates, we'll explain to them what is remaining. Obviously, we'll create a slide, what are the pending work. From a release machinery perspective, Rado of the opinion that once we have all the bets, we can release it in a matter of hours. So I think those things are streamlined as per Rado. That's what I was looking for him in the call today. I have a feeling January 15th may be
Too soon.
doable, but it's still a bit. I'd like to be slightly conservative based on holiday schedules of different people.
Understood. Although we are talking about 5 weeks from now. So
Yes. We are essentially telling them is December last 2 weeks work is not going to happen. So we will come to.
But you're adding that January 1st week is not going to happen too.
Right.
So that's
I'm not
3
I'm
weeks.
not saying work is not going to happen, but it's going to be slow, especially when it comes to the dependencies and coordination between people. I think that may be a hamper. So I'm thinking if you say that, then probably second or third week of Jan, whatever the TSC meeting is, we can go there with a proposal, right? And then they can bless it, and then we will be able to release it after that blessing in the end of January. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's my opinion. Please, everybody, please chip in.
Yes, please chip in, anybody.
Yeah.
I see no hands raised, please. I'm sure people have opinions. Fish, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think I also agree with the January thing too, because January 1st is a Monday and people probably take extend their vacation. It'll be slow. I agree with all the points Bala said. And also, I mean, in general, I'm trying to bring the attention back to when we just say, oh, we're going to make it on January 15th, let's have data to back it up why we cannot make now and why we can make on January 15th. That is where I was, Bala, that's where I was talking about the release next checklist. It's a checklist. You can have all negatives, but it only gives an idea of what needs to be done or what has been done. That will help give whether it is January 15th or January 30th or February or January 3rd week. I don't want to say February, but yeah, that's what I feel. Also, in addition to just picking a date, let's back it up with why we picked that date.
Yeah, sure, Vish. I think I agree with you. I think I think this is the same thing we did with the R1 release. I think we'll create a deck of readiness of different artifacts. We'll do the same thing. I agree with your suggestion there.
So our next Tosca TC, sorry, my calendar here. Our next FEOTC meeting is, I thought it was tomorrow, but it's not, right? Oh, it is.
It is tomorrow.
It is. So
we need to ask for extension.
Yeah. So we really need to decide now what we're doing.
So the only thing, I mean, I'm agreeing with the idea to request for extending the date. So the only thing is I mean, based on the first release and now in the second release, it seems like for every single release we're requesting an extension. So we have to just keep in mind that and maybe not for the next release, we have to follow the same pattern, right? So
yeah, we definitely unfortunately repeated our problem with Nephew R1 where we worked in a crunch. We've talked about this. There was a slow process in getting requirements from SIG 1. And there were actually probably about 3 months where we weren't really doing much work on R2 directly, right? So we started late and then it became a crunch, and we definitely don't want to repeat this. So, but this is where we are right now.
Yeah.
So here's the question. Hi, Wim. Please, I see your hand up. Just a quick update that we're talking about extensions and trying to consider the date. I suggested the middle of January. Bala suggested maybe the end of January.
Yeah, my comment. I was hearing the discussion a bit. I joined 15 minutes by now. So my only thing is, okay, let's define the tasks that are outstanding. So towards which points, and identify them, because I don't believe our board has them relevant to make sure that we hit the date. Because I think we are basically wet fingering to what the date would be, because we have to identify what needs to happen to get the release out. and then identify who's going to do what, because otherwise the date is nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why when we discuss the main release items, so if the board is not up to date, probably we need to make it up to date, honestly.
Like the documentation is not there, for example, right? So release note, so who is getting, so there is a bunch of items that we need to add to the board that today don't have even an owner. And I think that's going to be a challenge if we want to give a date.
Yeah, I think, yes, you're absolutely right. I think if the items are missing, we should add it. And the two things, so I said, if the items are missing, we should add it. And we should also make the board reflect the actual status. That we did not go one by one today, Wim, because we wanted to discuss the big chunk items and then come to one form of conclusion. But probably in the next meeting, we should go issue by issue, and then we should move to the done column, whatever in progress. I have a feeling that some of this may have been done as well.
Yeah, I think
for
we need
example,
to-
this one 362. I think is it? I think it's a lot of these things are.
No, the CRDs are done. I think I see. I think we hit it. I think Joseph and I mean I've been involved with them. I haven't talked to them, but I've solved some issues that they have. I think, but so I think for me the key thing is, okay, where are we with respect to bringing up the radio? I think that's going to be, because I think a lot of these things are still open because we haven't really, let's say, fully done it. That's why they are open. So I think most of the run point for me, they are all there, but we haven't fully integrated and have an end-to-end call and stuff like that. So that's what I would like to continue to focus upon, because my view is that from the moment I do understand we have to balance between work and stuff like that, and everybody has to decide for himself what he wants to do. But for the moment you release the pressure, it's going to, typically what you have is it will take long, and if yes, so it can be even last way longer.
Fikra, you have your hand up?
So just a very quick one. A bit that maybe whoever's assigned to the items could control where they go instead of us doing it in the meeting one by one. If somebody's assigned to an issue and they think that it's done, they can move it to the done column.
Yeah, great.
No?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
I think
I would prefer that. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's maybe not everybody is here. Let's post it on Slack for everybody to do some hygiene today. Just look to see what's assigned to you, and if it's done, move it to done. If not, maybe give a quick comment on progress. So we'll be up to date. How does that sound?
Yeah,
perfect.
All right, we're all agreeing on that. So all of us, let's do a quick hygiene today. Just go over the board. But we still need to decide what we're doing for tomorrow with the TSC meeting. I think we can be just transparent, say that we're not quite sure where everything stands, and maybe that's why we want to give a more pessimistic extension. We mentioned middle of January, end of January. Maybe it can be in the middle, third week of January too. But yeah, we don't have a very we're not very well defined, right, in terms of.
So when I say end of January, just I wanted to. What I meant was a week before that. Let's see, if there's a TSC meeting a week before that, we can go for us. We can go and ask for the blessing for the release. And then, so there are two steps, right? All one is we need to go tell the TSC this is what we have. Can we release it? And then only after that we can release it. That's what we did in R1. I'm not saying we go to TSC on end of January. We do that before end of January, but actually make the release end of January. I just wanted to make sure that I communicate what I meant there.
Okay. So a freeze early January and a release late January, generally.
Yes,
right?
I think if you want to do the release end of January, that means we should be complete by around 20th of January. With our testing, we should be in a pretty good shape. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Right, we're being a little bit vague, right, about these things right now. We have one more meeting, right, next week, right, for SIG 2. So our issue only is like what to tell the TSC exactly tomorrow and what to ask for.
Yeah. So
Um,
let's yeah. I mean, let's fix on what is a good date, or what's a good. I mean, I would also uh, uh, request the actual the doers of the work, the main the leads like Sagar, Joseph, Ronak, Stephen, Wim, please suggest, do you think 15th of Jan is good, end of Jan is good, or do you guys have any opinion about any other dates? Please, I would like to hear from you guys. Who doing the actual work.
If I may, the following, right? So I was not in the beginning, but what I'm hearing, let's say the people are pinging me right now. So it seems that we have the radio up and running, right? With the call. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what Sagar said. Yes.
Okay. So that means that we now have to make it repeatable. So that's good news. So we should basically measure that, right? So that's, I think, first thing.
Yeah.
So which means that what is missing is basically assembling it as a release, right? Would that be a fair statement?
No, not only that, we had to create that infrastructure that we did for that Sagar and team suggested for the topology. We need to
So
do
we
that.
have it. We have it up and running, but it's manual. It's basically in their environment, so we have to basically make sure that's all getting integrated, in the system and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
And repeatable.
Repeatable. Yes. And then Ronak had some points for Free5GC. He wanted to do a few things there. And then Sagar said Sagar and Joseph have some documentation ready for this. Again, it has to go through some review cycle and then be a part of this.
But what I'm trying to say is that the functionality is more or less there. It's basically assembling the release and making it a release as such, right? That's the majority of the work. And making it repeatable, integrated in our test infra and what have you. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So the key question for me is then I think we should identify those items that need to happen and see who can work on it and by when, right? That's the missing piece, I think, that we are lacking. Because that's how you can make a date for a date.
Yeah, the issue is, as we all know, it's always the last mile that's that drags on. You know, these kinds of integration pieces need coordination between people, time zones, etc. So even though the bulk of the work is done, I feel like the last mile is always ends up stretching.
I agree. Yeah. I agree, I agree, and that's I mean, I'm only talking for myself. I like the pressure because that means that okay, let's go for it and let's get it done. Otherwise, it just lives forever typically. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I mean, I'm talking for myself. So.
Yeah, so my thought is, you know, I feel like everybody who's been involved in this process, we had a crunch in R1, we're having a crunch again in R2, and I would just hate for people to feel like this is not a fun project to work on and they're constantly stressed. So yeah, I know there's pressure to release to the public and everything, but I'm a bottom from the ground up person. You know, it's on the engineers on the ground in the trenches that are most important and most valuable. You guys are making this project work. So I even think that even if the TSC is disappointed by a release date, it might not look in press releases so well that we're delaying. The well-being of our engineers is the most important. So I understand some people enjoy stress, some people a bit less, but I'm in favor of leaning towards, as Bala said, a later date. And you know what? If we're able to release early, that's great. You know, if we're doing it ahead of time, we can tell the TSC we're finished, we're ready to release. That would be a good thing, right?
But I would, if the TSC is tomorrow, I would not really give them a date, but basically say that we are assembling the items that are missing deliver them a date, right? Is that not more fair in that we start to do the work to identify those items? and who
Right,
does
that's what
what.
I suggested, that we be
I
transparent.
think we know the items, Wim, right? We know the items.
Yeah, but we need
If
to.
we go to TSC tomorrow and say, we don't know what we are, that's going to be a very bad message in my view. If we go to TSC tomorrow and
Sure.
say, we cannot release it, and by the way, we really don't know why we cannot release it. So that will be not a good message. So,
Yeah, but how many people do we have to work on it? Because I feel that the loss of it is in the hands of Joseph and Sagar and Victor at the moment.
yes, that's true. That is one of the things
So-
from the
so-
perspective. The one thing that we did not do from release 1 to release 2 is we wanted to spread and onboard more people, and then spread out the work, which we were not able to do again in the R2. Probably that's something we need to consciously do for R3, where we can see how we can onboard few more
That's
people.
why, yeah, I
Yeah,
like
I know Vish is very passionate about this. Vish has been saying this for a while now. I think that is something we have missed. I think this is something we need to consciously tackle as a community for R3.
Not just fish. Liam mentioned, better documentation for onboarding.
Yeah.
To be fair, we've done some work on that. We've divided things into task forces, and I think we have a structure for more distribution of work, but we all know that R2 was it's a strange release, right? We didn't really have a clear plan, and we kind of within SIG 2 we just did what we wanted to do, right? We didn't have very clear guidance from SIG 1 in terms of what were the big items that we need to show. So we've treated it as an incremental release from R1, which is absolutely fine. But yeah, I share the sentiment. Yeah, I really hope that R3 will be better, but I think we're evolving, right? I'm not that too disappointed.
Yeah, I think from a work left perspective, I was thinking, Wim, please disagree with me. I think the work left right now is to tightening up the OAI pieces, and then tightening up the infrastructure and making sure the OAI end-to-end call, both the deployment and the call works in the new infrastructure that Victor and Sagar is working on, and then reviewing all the PRs, merging the PRs in these areas, and then write the documentation, which we have a start from Sagar and Joseph, and also write the documentation for the topology feature that Stephen is doing. I think these are the most important pieces for R2.
Yes.
And obviously we have the Helm to operator thing. That's, according to me, more like an experimental feature. I think if we are able to merge in time, that will be part of R2 as well, but that is not a blocker for R2.
Yeah.
I think this is my understanding. Is this not a right understanding? Or if there is anything missing, please, anyone, please raise your hands and keep me honest.
So we have 4 minutes left. I have a feeling that we can have this conversation with the TSC openly. There's no, we're all on the same team here, so we can be very clear about it tomorrow and decide together then what to do.
Yeah, I think I'll create one slide for TSC tomorrow, Wim and Tal.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, kind of summarizing.
About the actual pending work, and I'm pretty sure they will ask for a date. We cannot not go there with a date with an extension. They'll ask for a date.
So I'm in the opinion that we can. I think we can be transparent about that. We don't know exactly what the date, and we can try to figure it out. Yeah. 3 minutes left. I don't think we'll be able to decide, but on the agenda is, so we have, as everybody knows, a very large pull request.
Sorry, Tal. That will not be a good answer to TSC. I'm being a devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
And the fact that Bala is a TSC member, he can probably give a TSC opinion.
No, I'm not wearing my TSC hat. Actually, to be honest with you, I forgot that I am a TSC member. But that is not going to be a good answer. I can tell you that.
Well, but it's what we have. That's my point. That I don't think in the next 3 minutes we're going to get a better answer than the one we have.
So that's what I was trying to hope. Whether Joseph or Sagar, do you have any opinion or any concerns if you make it end of January? Do you think that's achievable, doable? It's too much. I was trying to hear their opinion.
It is achievable, I think. Yeah, I think we were trying to do it by next week, but I think it's too much, like you said, because you have to do all the documentation and other things. So yeah, I think January end is okay for me. Sagar?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Joseph. I mean, we were really pushing it for the next week. But even if it's of course, if it's in January end, it will be doable, of course, even if it's January end. One thing we should make sure that the board stays as it is, there are no new tasks. If we have a new task, we have a new feature, we put in R3, but not in R2, and the board stays as it is.
Yes.
And if we are able to release earlier, then we can release earlier if the board finishes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I think I'll just add the task for documentation. That's it, Sagar. No other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
So why don't we
Well,
go to the end of January?
Well,
date then?
just one additional request. I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah, as long as we keep the scope as it is, we can make it. But also, we depend too much on reviews from others. So please, whatever patch that we submitted or PR that we have open regarding to this particular task, plus any review, any suggestion to modify or testing is more than welcome. So that definitely will accelerate the process to release more things. So
yeah. So 1 minute left. I want to suggest on this that if anybody needs a review, find somebody directly and ask them. Find them on Slack and say, hey, could you review this? Leaving them open to review has been kind of difficult to find people to jump in on it. Everybody's a little overwhelmed with things. So that's my suggestion, to try to do that on Slack. You can even do it openly on the SIG Automation channel, or you can really just send direct messages to people, see if they're available to review.
So, okay, thanks.
So
Thanks.
we're out of time for today. Let's continue to discuss on Slack if there's other issues.
So yeah, before we part, I just want to make sure, are we in agreement that we'll suggest end of January date? That's what I think the main stakeholders agreed.
I think they agreed, but as you pointed out, Bala, I guess the proof, if we need to give an evidence-based ask for the TSC, we can say that the engineers suggested that end of January date.
Yeah, we will identify the task. The deck I'm going to create is going to have those tasks that we just talked about, high-level things, along with the release hygiene. And then we had to give a date. let's put it this way. Otherwise, it will not be a good thing.
Well, the meeting is tomorrow, but we can also give a date over email over the next few days or even the next week. So I think that's my point. I don't think that tomorrow is a huge deciding factor for our release date.
Okay. So Wim,
in any case,
you had some
tomorrow
strong
on the
opinion.
TSC.
Yes, Wim, you had a strong opinion too. I think. What do you think?
No, I mean, I'm okay for now. End of January should be fine. I'm expecting them to put some pressure, but okay, I give it. I mean, I'm okay. End of January should be fairly feasible. That's not a problem. Yeah. If we have to give a date, we can give a date. I prefer not to give a date by now because we are not ready. But if we have to give a date, then we can say that in my view. But
okay.
I would prefer not to give a date if we don't have to.
Yeah, that was my point too, that I don't think by tomorrow we can give a date that we're absolutely, January 17th, it will be ready. We don't know that for sure yet. So, but we can be transparent to the TSC about this and just see what to do from there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. We can continue to discuss on Slack. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yeah.